Baty specifically, was this a tough decision given the spring he had?
I mean, yeah, it was a tough decision. I mean, we met this morning as a staff with the coaching staff, front office staff. Had a pretty long meeting, walked through a lot of different combinations, and went around the room. And the consensus of the room was, was best served to have him start in Triple-A. One of the things that we talked about is just, with Brett. We think he's got a chance to be an above-average regular player at the major league level for a championship caliber team. And so that has you, start looking back a little bit and looking at players like Nolan Arenado, right? So Nolan's high school draft, like Brett, he played over 400 games at third base in the minor leagues. Or Rafael was an international signing. He played 310 games at third base. And Austin Riley played 430 games at third base. And, you learn by playing a lot. While he had a great camp, we're really excited about his future. There's just some more development markers left for him to reach, and so he'll go down and probably carry a lot that he consumed here in Triple-A, and we're really excited about his future and type of kid he is, what he does in the batter's box, but also the strides he's made defensively. So,
what are those development markers?
Just continuing to get tested in different game situations, learning the speed, kind of when to give ground, when to take ground, and just being put in different types of circumstances, different types of situations.
How about Vientos?
Mark had a good camp as well. He's continued to actually improve defensively as well. That was one of the things that when we met with them, and we had Joey Core in the room so that he could really reinforce the things that he was working with them on this spring. And we were very deliberate with the things that they've achieved and the challenges that they've kind of overcome. And so happy with where they are, and they're just we told both of them that they're a phone call away should something come up. And they don't need something to happen at the major league level. They have the type of talent where they can push their way up here, but there's still some development objectives to reach.
Did you tell both of them at the same time?
In the same room? No, individual.
Have you committed to a roster spot for Darren Ruff, or is that still TBA?
We haven't announced the opening day roster yet, so we'll announce that, 11:59 on Thursday. Okay.
When you have a team with so many veterans, so many established guys, is that sort of a benefit, but also maybe a double-edged sword kind of thing, that these young players can go down and develop more, even though in another situation they might be force-fed a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we end up using a lot of players over the course of a season. It's just kind of the nature of it. I think earlier in the spring I was asked about, Brett coming up last year, and that was born out of necessity. And it was when, Guillorme went down, and we had to go get Brett, and it was, we wanted the left-handed bat at that moment in time. And so, it's going to take, it's going to take more than 26 players to achieve what we want to achieve. So, but again, we're really happy with where those guys are.
How did they take it, just in terms of, like, Brett obviously had a very good camp, and both offensively and defensively, as you mentioned. I don't know, how did he take it? Just, I'm sure it was, if not a shock, maybe a surprise to him.
I think it was the news he didn't want to hear, but that's just when you're a competitor and you have high standards, that's completely natural. But those guys both took it very professional, and they know, they understand, they see the board, and they see the bigger plan, the bigger vision. So they're aware of those things, and really happy with kind of how they just approached everything in camp. So I think they both have a very good future ahead of them.
What did you kind of learn about Vientos' defensive versatility this spring, in particular, spending more time at first as well?
Yeah, the strides at first base were very evident, mainly around the footwork and the agility. That was something I know he spent time on this winter. It showed. He showed up to camp, and in some of the early assessments we did, there was some objective and evidence-based information that we were able to gather, and that kind of showed the improvements that he's made. So and it bears itself out on the field. But in the cases with those two players, with Brett and with Mark, we're looking for a complete baseball player. We're looking for guys that we can trust in the batter's box, trust on the bases, trust defensively, and that's the ultimate goal here is to bring championship caliber players, to this ball club.
Buck has talked about the best 26 versus the right 26. What goes into defining the right 26 for you guys?
You got to think about the long game. We have to think about the 162 games that we're going to play over the 183 days. So we're not positioning a roster for a 3-game series only. A 3-game winner go home series or a 5-game or a 7-game series right now. We're positioning the roster to manage all the way through the end of September and with our standards into October. So.
How close are you to making the final decisions on the last spots in the bullpen now?
I'd say we're a day or two away.